today we'll be talking about snow guards. So, Jeff, what are snow guards and how do they work?
Well, snow guards are basically a product that you can apply to your roof system that would keep or retain the snow on your roof to prevent it from falling off onto people coming through walkways, doors. Maybe you've got some vehicles down there you don't want necessarily to get damaged because in heavy snow areas you can get quite a large snowpack on a roofing system, and it can become a real safety concern of that snow falling down on you as you're coming into a building.
And so we've recently chosen to partner with S-5. Talk about S-5 and what do they offer?
Yeah, S-5 is an excellent company. They've developed a product with called their S-5 seam clamps, and which is really beneficial for our industry because of the standing seam roofing systems that we make. And what this allows is for the attachment of these systems to be secured to the standing seam of the panel, whereas you're not penetrating or putting holes unnecessarily into a nice concealed fastener panel, which can over time create leaks, which you really need to be sensitive about in a heavy snow area or areas that do receive snowfall where you may be considering adding a retention device to it. So again, it's a penetrationless attachment designed with set screws, and they have varying different clips to fit all range of profiles that are sold out in the industry.
It really just does contribute to the durability of the long-term longevity of that system by not penetrating through the seam.
Absolutely.
And then so we'll be looking to offer or recommend two primary systems, the ColorGard or the X-Gard system that S5 offer. What are the differences between those two systems?
Yeah, so the ColorGard system that comes out with S5 is more of a visually, aesthetically pleasing type system. It comes with a rail that we actually infill with a pre-finished sheet that is the same color as the roofing product that's installed. So if architectural features are what you're leaning towards, you want something that's not going to stand out as much or be an eyesore, you know, the ColorGard system is a very great product for that because it blends seamlessly with the roof system and with the color. The other system that we're going to be offering, which is an X-Gard system, which uses a robust pipe rail type system, that's really designed for heavy snow load applications, a much more robust snow retention system, designed for higher elevations or areas that may receive an overabundant amount of snowfall in a given year. It can stand up to those extreme loads. So that
Yeah,
would be the difference.
that makes a lot of sense. So probably what we'll see is most customers will use that ColorGard system because of that visual look that you get.
Yeah, residential, again, high-end architectural projects where you want something that's going to be visually pleasing. You want something to blend in with the roof more so, whereas the X-Guard system is more commercially focused, it's a very robust system, although it may not be as visually pleasing. It's not an ugly system by any stretch of the word, but it just doesn't blend in seamlessly with the roof system. It's a different color. Again, it uses the railing, but it's a fit for purpose, right? You've got one
Totally.
system that's designed to handle a little bit lesser loads, but it's going to blend in really nice with the roof and give it a nice aesthetic appeal to it. Whereas the other system's really designed to counter and combat the effects of very heavy snowfall and the ability to be able to retain that snow on the roof system, preventing it from falling off and damaging property, damaging or causing bodily injury.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And what I really like about the ColorGuard system too, as you talked about, is it uses our metal as the actual color matching part rather than a field painted or some other spray painted system. And so it
Absolutely
means it'll
correct.
also weather at the same pace as your roofing system and essentially stay integrated for the life of the product.
Absolutely correct. Yeah, it would be an exact color match to the roofing system that's being installed on the project.
And so, from your perspective, Jeff, and all your experience up on roofs around the place, what are important installation considerations or what tips do you offer around snow guards?
Well, the big thing is obviously follow manufacturer's installation instructions. One big instance I've run into in the field is, a customer may opt to go with a snow retention system, and they think maybe, well, I'll just put one rail up on that roof to try and hold the snow back. Really, these are meant and purposely designed to be engineered systems. Depending upon how much snowfall you get, you may be required to have successive rows of the snow retention to combat the effects of how much snow is actually falling on that. So where you may think one might be appropriate because you don't want to overkill it, you may need 2, 3, 4 rows of snow retention installed on that on a given roof to be able to combat the effects of how much snowpack is actually on there. And kind of an example of that, what I always like to liken that to the Truckee or the high Sierras of California, which in the lower 48 is the heaviest snowfall area in the continental United States, which on average receives about a 450 pounds per square foot snow load, which is quite high for a given roof. So you want to make sure that you are obviously engineering the system to be able to withstand those loads. But on top of that, there's another aspect that I always like to get into is while the snow retention system may be able to hold up to loads, we also got to make sure that the roof panels that are installed can hold up to these loads. And what that comes down to is a factor known as drag load or drag load resistance. And drag loads, so most of our panels are clip attached, or there'll be a nailing flange attachment. What that primarily does is those clip attachments, that's for wind uplift load resistance, right? Make sure those panels aren't going to blow off. They don't prevent the panel from sliding down slope from its own weight, or if you're applying more weight to the snow retention system, to the panels with a snow retention system. So that may need that you have to increase the amount of fasteners that are tucked up underneath a ridge cap. So like for non-snow country applications, the typical amount of fasteners underneath the ridge is about 4 per panel. On the other end of that, then going back to my Truckee example, we had a project that we did up there where it required, because we were going to be retaining the snow, the fact that it had a 450 pounds per square foot snow load, we literally had to install 30 screws per panel up underneath the ridge cap just to make sure that the panel system itself could stand up to the weight of retaining the snow on that roof and make sure it was going to be a sound system that would survive through the winters.
So it sounds like those two common areas of damage can be either like all that snow loading, literally tearing the panel off the roof if not designed correctly.
Absolutely.
Or doing structural damage if in terms of how you've actually balanced the weight of that snow loading on the roof of the structure itself.
Absolutely. And that's another key aspect, right? The structure itself has to be able to account for that type of load. So you want to make sure everything's up to code, because if you are going to retain it, you need to make sure that your structure, the panels, the system you're installing can stand up to those loads. And thankfully, us as manufacturers, we've gone through S-5, partnered with them. They do a very good job of making sure their systems are engineered to withstand these loads. You can work with them through calculators and things. And then we have ways of determining drag load coefficients and resistance on our end as well. So it's kind of, we work in concert with each other to make sure that the system's going to be properly engineered so that you can make sure that it's not going to fail over time.
That makes a lot of sense. And I guess there's also other little considerations too around like some accessory components on the roof too, of just designing it correctly so those snow loads don't take out pipe vents or skylights
Absolutely.
or other things that can be on the roof.
Absolutely.
Fantastic. Well, I think that covers it. Jeff, thanks for your time today. And that was great to learn more about snow guards.
Absolutely. Thank you, Richard. You have yourself a good one.